My name is Jacqueline Burkhalter. The topic of my action research project concerns the effects of place-based learning on academic proficiencies. Place-based learning makes use of the surrounding environment, people, and culture so that learning takes place anywhere, anytime, and any place. I chose this topic because my school is currently adding elements such as an outdoor classroom, nature trail, and discovery garden that will make this approach achievable. This action research project has not been implemented, therefore, all outcomes are projected. The identified problem. As an elementary teacher, I have observed that my students do not connect what they have learned to practical life situations and do not use their knowledge to solve problems. Students also struggle to understand why they should be learning and how it connects to the community in which they live. They experience learning that is disengaged from academic purpose and their own community. The lack of relative and relevant learning can result in decreased academic achievement and engagement. My thesis statement for this research project is students who participate in a place-based education program will have improved academic outcomes. Data. The data represents a problem of academic performance in the core subjects of reading and math in the international, national, and local arenas for upper elementary students. According to the Public School Review, Jemison Intermediate School performed near the Alabama state averages in reading and math. In the area of math, students achieved 48% proficiency, while the state average is 47%. In the area of reading, students achieved 42% proficiency, while the state average is 46%. Nationally, Alabama falls at the bottom of the list for academic performance, being ranked number 49 among the 50 states, as reported by the World Population Review. On the international platform, the United States ranked number 25 overall in the category of K-12 schools, as reported by the Program for International Student Assessment. Background investigation. Proponents of place-based education argue that expanding the confines of the classroom to connect with the local community and then the community at large is a more effective approach than traditional approaches. According to Lowenstein 2018, a problem exists where learning is limited to the confines of the classroom and content is limited by a segregation of subjects. Learning outcomes are improved when learning is expanded into the environment of the community, providing a more complete learning experience. According to the Teton Science Schools 2019, there exists a strong connection between learning and the community where there is increased engagement, greater community effect, better understanding of the environment, and improved academic results. Place-based school outcomes have been reported by the Place-Based Education Evaluation Collaborative. The Beebe School in Malden, Massachusetts surpassed the performance of other schools within the district in the areas of math and science. Students of Dennis C. Haley Elementary School in Rosendale, Massachusetts demonstrated increased motivation, increased critical thinking, and gained a self-perception as scientists and observers. According to Hawkins 2017, the Grand Rapids Museum School experienced a 16% increase in the graduation rate. Spiesel and his colleagues conducted a study comparing elementary classes piloting a project-based learning program with those who were not. They found that students demonstrated increased math performance, motivation, engagement, interactions, cooperative learning, collaboration, and communication. Action Plan, Sampling and Sampling Description. The sample will be comprised of 5th grade students enrolled at Jemison Intermediate School. A sample of 60 students for the experimental group and a sample of 60 students for the control group will be selected by way of a cluster random sampling. Instrumentation. The research will be conducted by a quantitative methodology using the Scantron Performance Series standardized test results of the baseline test and the final summative test as the method of data collection. Collaborative efforts. Each team will work together and collaborate with administration to ensure that all fifth grade standards are met in compliance with the Alabama Course of Study. The educational team for the traditional learning group will proceed with standard educational practices, field trips, and activities. The educational team for the place-based learning group will make optimal use of place, collaborate with experts, collaborate with community and other agencies to support the place-based learning approach. All teachers will be certified by the state of Alabama. Effective collaboration of all involved in this study must be ongoing to accurately determine the impact of a place-based learning approach for the students of Jemison Intermediate School. Procedures. The Scantron Performance Series baseline assessment will be administered at the beginning of the study in September to determine student level of subject matter knowledge before instruction begins. The subject matter included in the assessment will be reading and math. The population will be divided into experimental and control groups for a length of time consisting of 7 months. One group will be instructed according to place-based methods, and the second group will be instructed according to traditional methods. The final Scantron Performance Series summative assessment will be administered at the conclusion of the 7-month study during the month of April. After data collection, the progress of the control group and the experimental group will be compared to determine accuracy of the hypothesis. Internal and external validity. The Scantron Performance Series is the mandated standardized assessment for the state of Alabama, and it is administered to all students. Results are reported and compared across local, state, and national platforms. Scantron Performance Series assessments are valid and reliable measures of academic progress. To ensure test validity, trained test administrators will be state-certified teachers, follow a scripted assessment, and will not administer tests to their own students. Weekly lesson plans will be required to ensure adherence to state standards and to be certain both groups are instructed in the same content. Both groups will be scheduled for the same amount of time for instruction. Sample sizes will be large enough to account for absences and withdrawal of students. Missed instruction will be made up for absent participants. Students who are absent for data collection, a makeup day will be scheduled to ensure all participants are tested. Participants of the traditional instructional approach will receive most instruction within the classroom as is standard for Jemison Intermediate School. Participants of the place-based instructional approach will receive instruction in context of place as much as possible and is reasonable. Since differing location is a major factor in the instructional approaches, it will not pose any threats to internal validity but will improve it. Ethical considerations. Confidentiality. The research included in this study involves activities that are customary and usual procedures for a public school, which will involve little or no risk to participants. Therefore, informed consent is not required for this study. In order to ensure confidentiality of research data, each participant for both groups will be randomly assigned a number ranging from 1 to 60 so that results of data cannot be linked to a particular subject. All data collected on individual subjects will be held in confidence and the names will never be used in any publication. Special populations. Appropriate accommodations and differentiated methods will be maintained according to IEP and 504 guidelines. English language learners will be appropriately accommodated according to their learning plans. Expected results. There is significant educational research to support the academic benefits of extending learning beyond the classroom and into the local environment as implemented in a place-based pedagogical approach. By implementing a place-based learning program, it is predicted that a place-based education program will improve the core academic proficiencies of reading and math for students at Jemison Intermediate School as measured by the state of Alabama standardized testing requirements. The change in data that should occur is the students participating in a place-based program will demonstrate a greater increase in standardized test scores than those who participate in a traditional approach. It is assumed that the information provided by this study will be used to make future instructional decisions. Reflection. Expected changes to the original plan. Fifth grade students are not tested in the subject of science as prescribed by the state of Alabama. I would like to conduct a performance Scantron pre-test and post-test in the subject of science to determine the effects of a place-based program on science outcomes. In addition, I would like to expand research to the other grades at Jemison Intermediate School, which include 4th through 6th grade. Conducting further research over multiple grades and beyond one school year can yield a better understanding of the effects of place-based learning on academic outcomes. Acquiring this research data can have significant impact on future pedagogical practices at Jemison Intermediate School. Included here is a list of resources used to complete my signature project.